Hello, folks. Hope you're well. So, yeah, today I went down to the well, I think it's a soup. It was a soup one this morning, well, at lunchtime at the Pentecostal church, and the doorman, the bloke who normally greets people. Yes, I was speaking to him, and then when we had the soup, he came and sat next to me. So we had the soup. I then asked him about his job. Is he retired? And he said, "Oh, he worked in care as a key worker looking after kids in care." I said, "Oh, right." I said, "I was in the opposite position." I said, "I was one of those kids in care." He went, "Oh." So when I said, "Oh, I was in that place called the Cotswold Community in Wiltshire," he said, "Yeah, I've heard of that. It's quite a famous place." Really? Okay. I said, "I was in another one in Dover." He said, "Yeah, I knew there was one there, but I didn't know the name of it." Yeah. So that's cool. He was telling me about his times and, the difficult situations that he faced in that sort of work. So we were speaking about social workers and how different people behaved, and how when I had to leave the Cotswold community because I forgot his name now. What was his name? Anyway, whatever his name was, one of the members of staff, he claimed that I'd ruptured his stomach because he said in front of all the other kids that my auntie, who was supposed to be the only person in my family that actually wanted me, that she put me back into care and she never wanted me. She was only, making it seem that way. And so I hit him. I was 14 at the time, about 14. And he said that I ruptured his stomach, and that just wasn't true. Because even now, I've never been taller than 5'7". I've never been big. I was quite slight at 14. I played football, played tennis, played cricket, and I ran. So I wasn't massive, muscular, or heavy. So therefore, I never had the power to be able to do that, and so therefore he died. But I said to Richard, the door person, I said to him, "Yeah," I said, "I had to leave that place, and I went to a place in Gillingham called Gatland House in Gatland Lane, Gillingham, and there was a member of staff there who was very physical, quite sort of bullyish to the kids, but he never touched me. And after a bit, I said to him, 'Why is it you're quite physical with the other boys, but you never actually ever got me?' He said, 'Because I heard about what you did in your last place.'" Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It wasn't true, but it's quite helpful to me. Yeah. Yeah. He actually got told a story, therefore, about, they thought it was me, but it wasn't me. One of the kids, it wasn't me, it was another kid, climbed out of a window, and when the member of staff, this was at Cotswold Community, during the school hours, when the member of staff tried to grab him, he shut the window on their arm and nearly broke their arm. Or actually broke their arm, I'm not sure whether it's broken or what. But that got to be me that did it, even though it wasn't me that did it. And so again, that was a reputation that sort of followed me. And it's like, okay, fine. If it means you don't have a go at me, then that's cool. But yeah. So that was good. But I was talking to him about Peter Hodson. Oh, it's Peter Diamond, the one who claimed that I had ruptured his stomach. Peter Diamond. I think it's Peter Diamond. Something. Was it Jim Diamond? John Diamond? Something Diamond. Anyway. I was telling this Richard about Peter Hodson, the teacher, and what a wonderful human being that man was. And saying that as a kid it was such a blessing to have him. And when I was there, I never wanted to leave. because in school holidays that place closed. I think it closed. I don't know, because I think the rumour was amongst the boys, we didn't know if it's true, but if there was a kid who didn't have family, he would stay there and a few members of staff would stay with him. You know, I would have preferred as a kid to have stayed there because the area was lovely. It was home. I never wanted to go back to my auntie and uncle with the two cousins, Mandy and Angela. I never wanted to go back there. Not most of the time because, yeah, it was not good. And I had to travel from Wiltshire back to Kent on my own. And as a 13-year-old or 14-year-old, didn't want to do that. Well, especially as I say, if I had the option of Peter Hodgson staying with me, I'd rather him stay with me because of his nature, who he was as a person. When I say he was a lovely man, he was. I say he taught us how to weave. He taught us how to do pottery. He taught us how to, do carving wood. Woodworking, proper woodworking. With a lathe and all that. He taught us how to do all of that. And when it was time for us to go back at summer holidays, he would play bingo with us. And he would buy a massive load of sweets. Now, for boys of around 13 or 14, yeah. That man was like an angel. In so many ways. We didn't really have a formal education. Not there. No. There wasn't a lot of sitting down doing maths and English. I learnt maths playing darts. More than anything else. But there wasn't a ton of that. There was a little bit of it. If you could do some, then you would expect it. But we never did any exams. We learnt to make go-karts. And so I was doing weaving. I was doing wood turning. Yeah. I made a fruit bowl for my auntie and uncle. I made a weave thing as well for them. Yeah. I wouldn't say I was brilliant, but I was okay at that. Because, of course, we had Mr. Hodgson helping us, teaching us how to do it. And so, yeah. Well, I've said before, if I do die before Yeshua comes back, then I'd want to be greeted by him. Peter Hodgson. I'd want him there greeting me. Yeah, he was just such a wonderful human being. As a kid, leaving there, because when Mr. Diamond said that I'd ruptured his stomach, I had to leave that part, and they put me to live in a house at the top of near the entrance of the Cotswold community. And it was Peter Hodgson who was the one who was looking after me there. He had obviously agreed to do so. Yeah. I believe it's quite likely he's no longer with us. But, just an incredible human being. Such a lovely man. He's one of the only people that I could honestly say in that industry that he belonged. That he had that nature. He was there because he gave a crap. He was there because he had something to offer. And he wanted to offer that. He wanted to brighten up the lives of the children that were there. And as I say, a bit of an angel. To us kids who were there at the time. And so, People like that, he was one of the bright sparks. He was one of the shining lights of my childhood that kept my head above the parapet, that helped me to not be beaten by it, be crushed by it. Because many were. Talking to Richard about that, about kids who were crushed by it, he says, some of them were sent to what we would call Borstal. And I said, for some it's going to make them, and for others it's going to break them, going into places like that. He said, he knows some that are doing one in business and others that are addicted to drugs or even dead. Now, already dead. Already gone because they went early. Yeah, because when you go to somewhere like Borstal, you either realise this is bottom. You've hit bottom and you can't go any lower, so therefore, okay, it means that things are going to get better. They have to, because you can't go lower. Or you just stay there at that depth because you give up hope. And when that happens to a kid, that's really bad. Yeah. So it was good. The soup today, didn't like it. The one I had was a potato sort of soup. I don't know what else. I think it's potato and ham. Rather heavy on potato, not so much on ham. But there was a flavour that I didn't like the flavour. But I had a couple of cheese sandwiches instead. Well, one piece of bread sandwiches, a couple of those. But that was fine. As a lunch, that's fine. That was cool. It was a free lunch, wasn't it? So there you go, that's good. And we have good conversation. I've spoken to Richard so many times, we've never gone into detail about that. But we did today, so I shall have to delve a little bit deeper next time I see him. Go a bit deeper. Asking questions about his relationship with God. Well, because now we've gone a bit deep and we have a bit of a connection, then hopefully, hopefully I can help him a bit, to lift him a bit. We shall see. Because that's the point, we shall see. All you can do is offer. And basically, most of the stuff I told him. As I say, I talk to him most of the time. I go out and talk, because he's standing on his own. Greeting people as they come in. So I go out and talk to him most times. And I say a lot of things that he does not understand and goes over his head. But that's okay. Because some of the things that I say will, hopefully get in there. That's what matters. Well, the things that are supposed to is what matters. So there you go. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Be a blessing. Be blessed. Enjoy. Bye-bye.